Hello and welcome to your astrological vibrations for Thursday, November 12th, 2020 by Gaia Blooming. I am Mimi and our energy mantra for today is I nurture my personal empowerment, knowing this supports the empowerment of the world. And today we reach our third and final Jupiter-Pluto conjunction. So we will not be having another Jupiter-Pluto conjunction for another 12 years-ish. So this is definitely a major transit. It is also conjunct Pallas, which is definitely so purposeful in this energy. And you know, the thing is like we reach the peak of this, and yet there is so much energy seated in this conjunction. And these planets do move a little bit slower. So even though we're reaching the peak, this will have ongoing I can't get the word, but ongoing, it's not reparations. I don't know why I can't get the word, but ongoing repercussions. That's the word, repercussions for us. So do keep that in mind. So let's just break it down to the basics. So Pallas, let's start there. Pallas is not something everybody is familiar with. Pallas is an asteroid, and Pallas is Pallas Athena, and yet in astrology, the strongest pattern I have seen revealed by Pallas energy is the patriarchal theme that Pallas brings with us, the patriarchal theme that we're trying to break through. So where we recognize patriarchal patterns, so whether it's in ourselves and in our world, just being able to notice them. Let me also mention this is all happening at 22 degrees. 22 degrees is a revolution-evolution degree. It is a personal mastery degree. And it's a 4, which 4 can represent foundations. And so we really want to get into our foundations to evolve and to revolutionize these patternings. So, okay, so Pallas, 22 degrees we've covered. Jupiter energy. Jupiter is an expansive energy. Jupiter will expand anything it touches. Now, Jupiter is known to be a very beneficial, helpful, supportive planet. Yet it is here with Pluto, which does not have that same reputation. And yet Jupiter is here reminding us what we are doing is of great benefit. Even through the challenges that we faced. You know, we hit our first Jupiter-Pluto in April, our second one, I think it was June or July, and now we have this third one, and definitely gone through many layers of challenge along with these through 2020. Just even looking at the first one really brought down that lockdown. And yet, can we see, even if you're challenged by the idea of lockdown and not liking like freedom limitations, even with that, can you see the benefit? Because Jupiter is here, so I guarantee there's benefit, you know? But it also expands the energy. So it can expand that patriarchal theme, which maybe we needed expanded so we can actually really see it, not only in the world, but where it's seated in ourselves, where we need to move through it. Finally, we have Pluto as part of this. Pluto, like I said, not the same reputation as Jupiter. Pluto is transformation at its core. It is death and rebirth. With Pluto energy, I sometimes use the phrase Plutonic colonic because Pluto will bring it all up to be expelled. And we need to bring the shadows, we need to bring the ick up in order to transform it, in order to make these shifts. And so these three together, holy moly, it's very powerful. And we're being faced so hugely in our world with where we've been stuck in these patriarchal patterns. And yet, Jupiter is calling us to have a bigger vision than what has been into what could be. And it's so interesting. So in the sign of Capricorn, just to take that down, Capricorn represents government. It represents structure and rules. It can also represent society. At its highest and best, Capricorn also represents divine soul purpose, like the ultimate blueprint. Beyond like any buildings and blueprints we may have drawn over it, Saturn, Capricorn energies, ultimate purpose energy, ultimate mission. And so this is really potent and powerful. We have been meant to go through and break down these energies this year in order to start creating something new. Now, this is setting us up for when Jupiter and Saturn will be conjunct in Aquarius. So it's setting us up for that. But for us, for all of us, how do we look at this? Okay, where are we being called to empower ourselves? Where are we being called to break down, shift, release, transform any patriarchal energies that we are still carrying, utilizing within ourselves? And again, they may be even subtle because we have been brought up in this energy. So a lot of these things will seem normal until someone who has already been able to break down that certain thing is able to enlighten or turn the light on for you. And yet Jupiter's like, what's the vision? What's the next vision? What is the expanded vision? What is this shift as we go through the release, the destruction, and all of that? What is this better world that we can build? Now, in addition to this, which is so intense, we actually have the moon in Libra feeding in. And this moon is like, okay, you really got to get this. So the moon in Libra wants us to be able to find that balance, that peace, that harmony, to see the beauty. And yet we're going to be having it square, square these energies. So there is resistance. My feeling is this is asking us to go back in. And I've been bringing this up a lot, but what do you really value in this world? What do you value that aligns with beauty, harmony, art, creativity, worth, families, relationships, all of these energies? We're being called to remember the importance of that. And again, if we look at, back at these conjunctions that we've had through this year, Mahalo has something to say about this. Right timing for me to get something in my eye, too. If we look back at that, it really did push us to come back to family units. So there is a lot to move through in this. I know there were those who did not necessarily have family units who they could connect with through this. And yet, did you find that you connected on a deeper level with yourself? That's part of that Libra energy as well, relating with yourself and finding that balance, finding that harmony within, and no longer harmonizing with things that insult your soul. And that's, I think, a really key piece in this. I think for so long, well, this is just how it's been. And so many of us I know I have gone along with things that, meanwhile, my soul is inside being like, this isn't right. This isn't how it's supposed to be. Even if it's, working 10 hours a day to support your family and you come home and you see your kids for an hour. That's not right. It may be the way things have had to be. And yet it's not the way things need to be ongoing. And this is where we want to seed new visions in and through this energy. Like I said, it's very powerful. You may find some immediate impact in your life, but really it is kind of this ongoing energy. And that's part of that 22-degree mastery and evolution through this. And look at today's date, like 12/2020, there's a 222 in there. Hope and faith in believing in the possibilities that are seeded in and through this. I do want to mention that the evening may get a little as that is when the moon in Libra will really be squaring those energies, those Pluto things. Stuff may come to the surface. Control issues may come to the surface from here. So do be aware of that. We are still feeling that yod, that Venus-focused yod, and that's reminding us, what do you value? What do you love? There is such importance there. The last thing I want to mention really quickly before I show you my cards, which are also really interesting. This is our last full day of Mars retrograde. Mars will be going direct later in the day on Friday. So this is also part of that personal reflection, really looking within and making sure our actions do align with those values. Our actions do align with our intuition, that the yang energy can utilize the gifts of the yin. So that being said, let's look here. I do have the Thunderbolt card, and yes, this definitely, Pluto is Thunderbolt energy. There are things that still need to be torn down and released, you know, and it's not necessarily comfortable. And yet, the universe is like, this is so divinely orchestrated. You are ready. Keep that in mind. At the same time, don't forget how much light, how much capacity for light you hold in and through this. And that's the thing, is even as these old structures, these things are falling down, do not forget the power of this to help support a new build. Stay in your heart and like lighthouse that energy, you know? I love this card in here. This card, possibilities, is so representing that Jupiter energy. There are so many possibilities. Jupiter is the planet of infinite possibilities. So do keep that in mind in and through this. The better it gets, the better it gets. Finally, I think this goes hand in hand with the sharing card. I actually have the Hermit card. And here the Hermit is sitting in his light. And sometimes we need to get away from all the noise to remember that light in yourself, so that you can be that lighthouse. So do take some time, reflect where you are being called into empowerment, reflect where you need to release, let go of things that may have held strong structure in your life that no longer serve your highest and best and the highest and best of the world. So it's a lot, but it's important. So you can book a reading with me. Email me, mimiclark@gmail.com. Besides that, the better it gets, the better it gets. There's more than enough love in the world for you. You have the power, and stay curious. Namaste.